All right, so like we're going to do every day for a while, we're going to keep reminding you guys that every single day, okay, even if you don't feel like working that day, all right, you need to do your attendance check. Oh, hold on a second. How are we doing this morning? That's good. I'm going to give this to you right here. Do you need a pencil? Nope, I actually got a good one. My last good one. Why don't you keep this for the day so that I don't have other kids fighting? Because everybody else is going to get really tiny pencils. So just real quick, we don't have our calculators today. I do have a set of calculators over there, but they weren't charged. So I'm charging them right now. It doesn't do you any good. So when we do stuff today, you're just going to kind of watch it. I'll do it on my calculator and you just kind of watch it and just keep trying to learn the calculator. So really quick, like we are going to talk about this every day just till we get it in our brains for a while. And that is anytime that you stay home, make sure you remember to go to the check mark and do your attendance in every class. Probably take 5 minutes to do all your classes together, okay? And even if you decide not to do your work, if you at least take care of attendance, we can always make up the work, okay? But attendance can only be made up in Saturday school, and who wants to go to school on Saturdays? Not me. So, and then just a reminder, if you ever do stay home, that you get your assignments right here where it says 4-6 weeks. And when you click on it, you go to the current week. So the thing that says current week, and then the day. So today, that would be your assignment right there. Okay. So, and that's just if you're staying home. Obviously, if you're with me, then you don't have to worry about that. All right. So today, did I copy off the right thing? Hold on 1 second. Maybe I opened up the wrong thing. No, it said day 5. I think I copied off the wrong assignment. So let me do this for you real quick. We're not going to do, I think maybe this is tomorrow's assignment. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get you a sheet of paper. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that today. Let me look at one other thing real quick, because maybe no, I'm just a screw up. Got to know that I'm a screw up, and I'm the one that's supposed to be leading you. Huh? I tell people all the time, I'm like, I should inspire lots of people to go and get their college degrees because I'm proof that any idiot can get a college degree. So, okay. So we're going to continue to work on anytime that you see X and Y not by themselves or together on the same side, we're going to continue to work on getting Y by itself. However, I was talking with somebody the other day and we got to talking about how we don't teach the way we were taught, okay? People said that the way we were taught was incorrect, okay? But I feel like it was easier. And so she got to talking about how she's been teaching the way we were taught and how some of her kids are doing really well. So I thought I might bring it up today just to see how we did with it. And if we do well, we might just start teaching it that way. We'll see, okay? Now, what I want you to remember in all of this is not easy, okay? So as we're going through this, if you're like, yeah, I don't understand, then we guess C every time, okay? So that means if we got 10 of these, we're gonna guess 10 C's if we don't know, okay? You don't ever feel guilty about guessing C, all right? We are gonna go, we're gonna try to do this every day to see if we can make it easy, because if we can, then we can use the calculator because when you got Y by stuff, you can throw it into the calculator. So that's our ultimate goal. But if we can't, I can still get you past the STAR test if you don't know this. Okay. So like I said, one of my big things is I want to teach kids never to get frustrated. And so just because I teach you something doesn't mean you have to be able to do it. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do here is we've got to get y by itself. Now, when we taught this the other day, what we said is we want you to learn the first step. Okay. Now there's two steps, but we always want to let you to learn the first step. And the first step, if x and y are on the same side of the equal sign, so right here's my equal sign, if they're on the same side, is to get rid of that x. Now, what I taught you the other day was we subtract x, okay? We always do the opposite. But that wasn't how I was taught. How I was taught was the equal sign is like a bridge, okay? Now, I don't know if nowadays people still talk about trolls any, okay? But in my day, stories about trolls, like you would read fairy tales and stuff like that, and you would hear about these trolls, and trolls guarded bridges. So you would have like this troll right here, and he's guarding this bridge, okay? Well, a lot of times you had to pay the troll. You had to give him something in order to cross the bridge. So my teacher taught me, anytime that you want to move something from one side to the other, you have to pay the troll by switching signs, okay? And so that was what we did, or switch. When we say switch signs, you had to switch whatever was going on. If it was adding, you had to switch to minus. If it was multiplying, you had to switch to divide. But you always switched what was going on. That's how you paid the troll. And so if I want to take this x over here, I simply just switch the sign. And so I'm going to keep this minus 3y right here. So write down on your paper, write down minus 3y. But this x is going to come over to this side. Now, when it comes over to cross the bridge, you got to pay the toll, right? So instead of being a positive x, it's going to become a minus x. Now, we like to put x up front, so we're going to put the minus x up front. And then behind it, we got this positive 1, so we'll put plus 1. So all that happened is we just moved it over and made it switch sign, okay? It's a little bit less work, because before what I said was y'all had to minus x to both sides, cancel these out. And you see what I'm saying? So just moving it over is a lot less work, okay? So that's why I was like, okay, well, we might try to do this, but like I said, if it doesn't make sense, just let me know. We can switch back to the other way, okay? We're going to do it a few times just to see what you think, okay? All right. So now I've got to get y by itself, and I've got this negative 3 with it. Now, whenever it's right beside something, okay, this x wasn't beside anything, so we just moved it over. But when it's right next to something, we have to divide them apart. So when you pay the troll right here, when we come over, we're going to switch from multiplying to division, and we're going to divide. Now, this is the hard part, I think. So this part we'll get to. Right now, what I really want you to be learning is that we got to get rid of this x first. That's the first thing I want you to learn, all right? We'll get to the division part later, all right? But go ahead and write this down for me right here. So write this down. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want us to focus in on, all right? Now, there's not a number on top. So this is a fraction, right? Now, the x, I know that it looks like x is on top, but we're not worried about the x. We're worried about the numbers right here. But there's no number. So anytime there's not a number, there's an understood 1 right here, okay? So that's technically negative 1x. So what I would do is anytime you have a fraction, and you might be good at fractions, I don't know, but I'm not good at fractions, okay? So anytime I have a fraction, I go to regular calculator. So this is regular calculator. And I type in the fraction. So control divide. And I'm going to type in negative 1. So minus 1 over minus 3 and hit enter. And it says the only thing that changes is these two negatives become a positive, okay? So I'm going to look at my answers now. And I want you to eliminate, good test takers eliminate stuff. The answers that don't have a positive 1/3 in front of x. So we look right here in front of x. C has a negative 1/3, so that can't be it. And D has a negative 1/3. So we know it has to be one of those two, okay? Then we look over here, okay? I've got another fraction. This is 1 over negative 3. Now, like I said, you may know this, I don't know. But I struggle with fractions, so I'm going to put 1 over minus 3, hit enter. And we get negative 1 over 3. So that means my answer has to have a minus 1 over 3 after the x. So this was after the x right here. So after the x, got to have a minus 1 over 3. And the answer would be B, because this one has a plus right there. That has a minus. Okay? So in the end, like I said, we may look at this and you may say, you know, okay, I can't do that. And that's fine. You know, we get C and we move on with that. All right. And I don't want you stressing over it. I don't want you to feel bad. But like I said, we're going to keep practicing this. And if you can get this, I just think it'll make life a little bit easier on the start test. Okay. All right. So anytime we see X and Y on the same side of the equal sign, the first step that I really want you to try to remember is we always get rid of the X first. Okay, so even if you can't do anything else, at least get rid of that X. So how do we get rid of it? We move it to the other side, right? And how do we do that? Do you remember? You're right. I see it. We got to switch it to a negative. You got to put that negative, right? I can see it on there. All right. So when we switch this over, we got to change the sign, right? So it's positive. That means when we bring it over, so that means we're going to keep the Y. We're going to keep that Y equals. But we're going to bring this over, and it was positive. So now we got to make it negative and always put it. If it's an X, it goes right after the equal sign. Now, if it's not an X, it can go at the end. And then this minus 3 is still there. Now, this one, look, Y is all by itself. So if Y is all by itself, we're done. That was my ultimate goal. So look at your answers. Which one has a minus 4X minus 3? Now, there's a lot of stuff here. So what I always recommend, so you don't accidentally choose something wrong, if it start with minus 4X, if it doesn't have a minus 4, mark it off. It makes it so much easier when you start, just look at one thing and eliminate instead of looking for the whole thing. Which one has a minus 3 at the end? A, yeah. So it makes it so much easier if you eliminate. Good test takers are always eliminating stuff. Okay. All right. I'll clear that out. All right. So number 3. So what's the one thing I want you to be able to do when we see X and Y on the same side? Get rid of what? The X. Okay. Always the X. So we're going to move it over here. Now it's a negative 2. So when I move it across the bridge, we got to pay the toll. And it goes from a negative to a positive. So this negative 2 is going to switch to a positive here. So we're going to write down our 4y equals. This negative 2x is going to cross that bridge. And so when it crosses this negative 2x, it's going to cross that bridge. When it does, it becomes a positive 2x. Now, when it's positive, you don't have to put a plus, okay? You just put 2x. And then at the back here, I still got this 2, so it's a positive 2, so we'll put plus 2. You got to put a plus on this one. You don't have to put a positive on this one because it's right after the equal sign, so you wouldn't put a plus on it. All right. So now we've got this 4 next to y. This is the hard part, okay? So to get rid of this 4, we've got to divide. So we're going to divide everything by 4. Divide everything by 4. So this is the tough part right there. All right, so we got y equals, okay, so we got a fraction right here. So I'm going to go plug in the fraction in the calculator. Maybe. This lets me. Oh, there we go. All right, so my fraction right here is 2 over 4. So I'm going to go control divide 2 over 4. Hit enter. And you can see that reduces to 1/2. So matter of fact, I'm just going to write this right here. We got 1/2 x. And then this is also 2 over 4. So it's the exact same thing. So I don't need to retype it. I've already got 2 over 4 right there. It reduces to 1/2. So plus 1/2. So we're going to look for an answer that has a positive 1/2. So start with just this right here. Okay, we got positive 1/2. Eliminate anything that has a negative 1/2 in front of x. So it's not A, and it's not D, because D has a negative 1/2 in front of x. So these two both have positive 1/2. And then the back has to be positive 1/2. And so B has it, but C does not. C has a negative 1/2. So the answer is B. Okay? So just to kind of get a feel, I'm not saying that you got to be great at this, but as we're working this, would you rather work this where we're moving this and we're paying the troll, or would you rather like add 2x, add 2x, and then work down? Which way? And like I said, you may not be good at it, but just which way would you rather me teach? I'm going to go just based off what you want. If you like the troll, I'm going to keep teaching with the troll. If you're like, no, I'd like just the way we've always learned it, I'm going to keep teaching it that way. Okay, that's what we're going to keep doing then from here on. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this one right here. So, all right, we're going to write this down. So to do that, we do have to write this down. So we're going to go like this right here and write this down. Okay, so the first thing that we always want to do is we always want to get rid of the x first. So if this is a minus 3x, then we're going to do the opposite of minus, and we're going to add 3x. Oh, let me draw my line right here. All right, so we have a rule that if we add 3x here, we have to add 3x over here. You got to do it to both sides. All right, so these cancel out. So the whole purpose of this is that this all cancels out. And then we're going to bring down the 2y. And it was a positive 2y, but we don't have to bring down the plus. And then if you notice in my answers, the x always comes first. So we're going to bring this. You can't combine these because this has an x and this doesn't. So we're just going to bring this over here. So 3x, and then the minus 1 goes at the back. All right. Then we're going to divide by 2 to everything. And so normally at this point, I would tell you, hey, let's go plug this in our calculator, right? But as a good test taker, I'm always looking at my answers. And there's nothing but positives here, and all of these say 3/2. So that means, excuse me, this doesn't reduce. So if it doesn't say a positive 3/2, we're going to mark it off. So that does, but B has a negative, we're going to mark that off because this doesn't have any negatives in it. This has a positive 3/2. D has a negative, so we're going to mark that off. Okay, so then I'm going to come over here. Now, 1/2 does have a negative. And so I need to have a negative, and C is the only one that has a negative. A does not have a negative, so the answer's got to be C. Okay, now, like we said, I considered this to be hard. So in the end, we're going to keep practicing, but like I said, please don't ever, and notice, if you would have guessed what the answer would have been here. If you'd have guessed C, what was the answer? C. Now, the answer wasn't always C. Okay, we're going to miss some. When we guess C, we're going to miss some. But I don't care about the ones we miss. We're going to get some right. And that's what's important in guessing C, is the ones that we get right. All right, so let's take a look at this one. Now with this, we only have to do one thing. Now we do tend to consider this to be the easy one, okay? So notice here that X and Y are not on the same side. Y is on this side and X is on this side. When I talk about sides, I'm talking from the equal side, okay? So this one we do consider to be easy, okay? And this one we do kind of use the whole troll thing. We just simply take this positive 3 and we're gonna move it to the other side. And when we do, we switch the sign to a minus. So we take this positive 3, just move it over here and get rid of that right there. And we're done, that's it. Okay, and you don't, obviously you don't have that on your paper, so you can't just do that. So, but does that make sense how we do that right there? Okay, okay, so look at this one. Y and X are not on the same side, but Y is not by itself. So what are we gonna get rid of? The positive 4. So we're gonna bring it over here and we make it a -4. Done. And just make sure when you do this that you get rid of that 4. So now it says Y equals and we can plug it in the calculator. So we do consider that between this and what we just got through doing, this we feel like it's pretty easy, okay? So this is the one we really want to make sure. Unfortunately, we only see a few of those. We don't see a whole lot of those on the STAAR test. But, you know, heck, if we see 2, let's get those 2 right, you know? All right, so number 7. We got X and Y on different sides. So what do I need to get rid of? The -3, and when I bring it over here, we make it +3. Done. Okay, right here, X and Y are on different sides, but Y is not by itself, so what do I get rid of? Positive 2, we bring it over here. Minus 2. So, like I said, that right there, that's what, we really want to focus on. We won't see it a lot, but when we do see it, we want to get that right. All right. Okay, so now all we have is there's no y's here. There's just x's. So we call this a basic equation. So anytime we see a basic equation, we can type this in the calculator. Okay, so we're going to go to regular calculator. All right, now, do you remember what it is that we hit to get to where we need to go? What do we hit? Menu 3.1, very good. So menu 3.1 gives us INSOLVE, menu 3.1. Just if I had to show this one more time, menu 3 is algebra. So if you ever forget, you're like, well, what class am I in? You're in algebra, right? And then 1, it says numerical solve, INSOLVE. Okay, so I think a lot of people probably are familiar with INSOLVE. All right, so now all we do is we type this into the calculator, right? Now, a good test taker always looks at their answers, and I noticed that this says no solution and infinite. So I got to be prepared that this might be no solution or infinite. And remember, our calculator struggles with infinite. So our calculator, if it's infinite, will give us 0, and we don't know if it's 0 or if it's actually infinite. Okay, so that's the only part that our calculator struggles with. So hopefully it won't be that. All right, so we're going to go type this in. So we got x minus 2. So x minus 2 equals x minus 1, I believe is what it said. Yep. All right, so when we get done, we can't hit enter right now. We got to put something. Do you remember what it was? Very good, comma x. So comma x, we hit enter. It says no solution. The calculator is awesome when it comes to no solution. And so no solution is just no solution. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. Right there. No solution is just no solution. Where's my pen at? Right there. Lost my pen. So the answer would be A. All right. So number 10, once again, is just a basic equation. So anytime you just see x's, just basic equation, we're going to our calculator. And, we do a lot of these because we want them to be easy on the STAR test. We don't ever, I get kids that look at this and they're like, yeah, I did one. I'm not going to do the rest because I know how to do it. And they don't practice. And then when they get to the STAR test, they end up messing it up because they just didn't practice. So that's why we do a lot of these, is we want to guarantee that we get these right. If we take care of the easy ones and we guarantee we get them right, then we should do fine on the STAR test. Oh, yeah, you sure can. So write your pass real quick. So,
they making our calculators fit?
yep, they sure did. And they took most of them, but I told them those calculators didn't work. And so they didn't take those. And so I still got a few today that I can use, but not many. All right, so we're going to go plug this into our calculator. So we're going to type in x. And I've already, welcome to having an ADD teacher, +1. Already forgot, just like that. And 2x equals 2x minus 8, minus 2x minus 8. I will say that if you ever get this wrong, it's probably because you typed it in wrong. I type these wrong all the time. So I typed it in right, so I'm just double checking. Remember, at the end, you put comma x, and then we hit enter, and we get -3. So the answer should be -3, which would be C. Now, I do get kids from time to time go, oh, we could have just guessed C on that. No. The answer might be C, but guys, the strategy of guessing C only works if you're getting the easy ones, okay? If you just do nothing but guess C, yeah, you're not passing anything. We still have to get the easy ones. But when all you're worried about is the easy ones, it makes testing so much easier. And so, yes, some of the easy ones, the answers will be C, but, we need to make sure that we can get the easy ones. All right, so right here, first off, once again, I do see no solution to infinite. Doesn't guarantee anything, but I just want to keep that in my mind. All right, we're going to go type this in. So we're still going to regular calculator, menu 3.1. And we are typing in minus 4x plus 4. So minus 4x plus 4 equals, and 3x plus 32. So 3x plus 32. Hit enter. Oh, so what did I forget to do? I forgot to hit comma x. So I screwed that up on purpose just to show y'all what happens. Okay, I didn't. So I screw up all the time too, just like everybody else. And I actually like that I screw up because I still feel like it shows y'all that, when you mess up, don't ever get mad at yourself. It happens to all of us. All right, so we got -4 as our answer. And so -4 would be right there. Okay, so even though it had no solution in infinite, it doesn't always guarantee that that's going to be the answer. Okay. 1 second. Okay, so I want to get down to 15. And I want to talk about these right here and make sure we get some good practice on these. So this is almost like like an equation. They just have x's. The only thing that makes it not an equation is there's no equal sign right here. Okay, it's got an inequality. So a couple of things. First off, when I look at this symbol at the beginning, I notice that there's no equal to bar. Well, it can't grow an equal to bar. If there's not one in the beginning, there can't be one in the final answer. So automatically we know it can't be A and D. Now, a lot of times, and by the way, you cannot pick the answer just because you see the symbol. Sometimes it will stay this way and sometimes it flips. And so, we can't just look at this and go, oh, look, these symbols are the same. It's going to be 4. Now, it might be, we don't know. But what we are going to do is to type this into the calculator and switch this to an equal sign. And type this in like it's an equation. Now, it's not going to give us the sign, but it will give us the number. And because my two numbers are different here, boom, we've got the answer. Now, it doesn't always work. If both of these would have been the same number, then because it doesn't tell us the symbol right here, either you have to work this out, and that's really hard, or you're just going to guess between the two that are left. And so, but like I said, a lot of times, if you plug this in and get the number, you're actually able to figure out the answer a lot. So we're going to switch this to an equal sign and go plug this in under InSolve. Okay, so let's go here. I'm going to go ahead and just clear stuff out. And we're going menu 3.1 for InSolve. And we're going to type this in. So we got -2x parentheses, 2x minus 4, close parentheses. I think that's it. And also, I want you to notice, I never go outside of these two parentheses that it started with. Everything goes inside of those two parentheses. Excuse me. All right, so, okay, -2, and then remember, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong problem down here. All right, so okay, I got all that. So -4x plus 2, so -4x plus 2, and then it was an equal sign, so not the inequality. You put the inequality, it will give you an error, and then you can go fix it. And then the last part is 2x plus 38. So 2x plus 38. And then remember at the end to put comma x. So we hit enter and we get -4. And so the answer here is, oh, hit the wrong one. The answer here is -4. So the answer would be B. So just a reminder, I'm always doing a video too. So I kept going for the video. Okay. All right. So question 16. So when we see questions like this right here cannot be put into InSolve, okay? But it almost looks like an equation. Like the only thing keeping us from being able to put this into NSOLVE is the equal sign, okay? So what we do is first off, we take a look at this. This does not have an equal to bar, okay? Well, when I look at my answers, if there's an equal to bar, I can mark it off, because if it doesn't start with an equal to bar, it's not gonna have one in the finish either. So I know it's not these two, because those have an equal to bar and it doesn't in the beginning, okay? So it comes down to these two. Now, we have a trick. This is almost something we can put into the calculator, right? If it had an equal sign, we could plug it in. So our trick is we switch this to an equal sign. Now, it's not going to tell me what direction the symbol's going. And you cannot say, well, the symbol is pointing, this direction, so it's got to be D. Right here, the symbol was pointing. So I don't know if you can see that, but it was pointing this way. But in the final answer, it ended up pointing the other direction. So you never know if it's going to stay the same or flip, okay? So what we do is we type this into the calculator, okay, with an equal sign, and it will tell us the number. Now, if my two numbers are different, I now know my answer. And that's what we're hoping, is that the numbers will be different. Now, if they're not different, then we just have to guess. It's between these two, and we'll guess, that, or you could work it out by hand, and that's really hard. I'm not going to work it out by hand, so you could if you wanted to, but I would probably make a mistake somewhere if I worked it out by hand. So at that point, I just say, I'm going to guess, and we guess. But because this says +4, this says -4, we're going to go plug this into the calculator. So we're going to go to menu 3.1. So menu 3.1. And, oh, I got the wrong paper. Okay, so I'm going to go back and forth. So we got -3x minus 5. So -3x minus 5. And then I think it was parentheses. Okay, 3x plus 2. So like I said, if something goes wrong here, it's going to be because I typed it in wrong. So almost always, if you don't get an answer, then you type something in wrong. So equals x minus 86. And I type stuff in wrong all the time. So equals, so remember, we put equals, not the inequality symbol. If you put the inequality symbol, it's not going to work. And I think it was x minus, and I got to talking and I forgot, x minus 86. Okay. So now, clear out this real quick. So now, don't forget at the end, you got to put comma x, or it'll give you an error message. Hit enter, and we get +4. So I'm going to go back. And let me bring up all this stuff. Okay, so we had gotten rid of these two. We got +4. Well, D is -4, so it can't be D. So the answer's got to be A, because that's the only one that had the +4. Okay? So like I said, I'm not saying it's always going to work. Sometimes it just narrows it down to 2. But at least this gives us something we can do. And that's what we're always looking for. One of the things, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, and I believe this is a life lesson. Okay? Don't ever focus in on what you don't know. Always focus in on what you do know. So like in life, there's been times when I looked at all my bills and I looked at my bank account, and the bills were more than my bank account. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do all this. But I didn't focus in on what I didn't know. I didn't know how I was going to pay all my bills. I focused in on what I did know. I can at least pay this bill and this bill. So I paid it. Does that make sense? I at least took care of that. And I know a lot of people that say, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills, and they don't do anything because they're like, well, I can't pay them all, so I'm not going to pay anything. Okay. Well, what happened was I at least paid those bills. And then it's like, okay, I start, how am I going to pay for this right here? I don't know. So I start looking for odd jobs. Like, one time I had to go cut trees down. I'm not somebody that cuts trees down, but I had to, or I had to go mow lawns one time. I had to go work at an insurance agency during the summer one time. So when you got to pay the bills, you just, you got to find ways. But the thing is at the time I started focusing in on what I did know. I know I got to do this. I know I got to do this. Okay. I know I need to start looking for just extra work. I wasn't looking for a permanent job, just extra work, and I focused in on what I did know. And next thing you know, I paid all the bills, and so, always focus in on what you do know. Don't ever focus in on what you don't know. I'll give you another example. So I've been ugly my whole life, okay? and there's been some blessings to it, but early on in life it sucked, right? And so I always focused in on the fact that no girl would ever want to date me because I'm ugly, And so I focused in on that, and I focused in on the fact that, I don't know how you're supposed to talk to girls, I don't know how, and I always focused in on the negative. Well, at one point in my life, I didn't even date a girl till I was a junior. It was my first time I got a girlfriend. Isn't that sad? And so, but the reason that it finally happened was about my junior year. I started kind of developing some confidence, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if the girl's going to date me, and I don't know if I know how to properly talk to a girl, but all I'm going to do is focus in on what I do. Here's what I do know. I know that I can talk about sports, and this girl likes basketball. So I know I can at least talk to this girl who likes basketball. I can talk with her about basketball. And I just started focusing in on what I did know. And I focused in on what and I ended up getting her to go out with me. Now, only for a month, but still, I tricked her. No, I didn't. I got her to go out with me for a month because I focused in on what I did know, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay. And, and then I went out with another girl my senior year, and then in college, I went out a few times, and so it was like, and then I finally met my wife because I just started focusing in on what I did know. Now, I got rejected a lot, a lot. And so, but every time I was just like, I'm still going to focus in on what I do know. So when we tell you like on this stuff right here, this can help with life. Okay. Why do we have to take algebra? Well, not because you're going to use this stuff for the rest of your life. You'll probably never use this stuff again. But what you learn is how to look at a problem and then say, okay, I don't know this entire problem, but what do I know? And focus in on that. And if you apply that to life, you just be surprised at how, man, this stuff really does help in real life too. And that's why that's why I love teaching this, is because it's not that I believe that I'm going to make you become some great mathematician, or like I said, like I think you're going to use this for the rest of your life, because if you ask me, when will I ever use this? I'll be honest, never. So why do we learn it? Because what we learn is how to solve problems. And there's a problem right here, it's a math problem, but it's a problem. And we're going to learn how to solve it. And then we want you to take those problem solving techniques and apply them in life, in real life. And that's where I think I make a difference in kids' lives, is I can teach you how to solve problems. Does that make sense? Not math problems, but problems in real life. And, I'll sit there and say, okay, let's slow down. And then sometimes you just don't know. That happens sometimes. And you just get C and you hope for the best. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. Sometimes I don't know how to solve every problem in life. I have a student that's going through a tough time. I wish I could solve her problems. I ain't got, I can't solve her problems. All I can do is pray for her and hope for the best. That's pretty much my guessing C right there. Is pray and hope for the best right there. I'm guessing C, And so, I just want you to see that like I said, some of the stuff we learn in here, it can apply to real life, even though, yeah, you'll never do this in real life. You'll never have to, I always joke around, kids will say, when will I ever do this in real life? I'm like, oh man, you can't go order a burger at McDonald's without them saying, hey, can you solve for Y first? And it's funny because they'll be like, what? You don't have to do that. And I'm like, no, you don't. So most of us will never, ever use this in our life. If I didn't teach, I wouldn't use this in my life. But solving problems, we all have problems. And that's where this stuff comes in. All right, so I want to go back here. I want to do one more question on this, just because we want to make sure that we start just really getting good at this right here. And I want to show you. So first off, there's no equal sign here, okay? So we're going to put in an equal sign so we can plug it in, right? But before I do that, we look, is there an equal to bar? No, so we're going to eliminate everything with an equal to bar. Now, when I look at this, these both have the same number. I don't even need to plug this in anymore. It's telling us when I plug this in, the answer is going to be -4. I know it is, because we only got -4 left. It has to be. So it's not going to tell me which direction the sign goes. So there's no point in plugging this in. It's time to guess. It might be B, it might be D, okay? And it's just totally like, unless you want to write this out by hand and try to solve it, we're just going to guess. So what would you like to pick, B or D? It's totally up to you. D. And sometimes you'll get it right, sometimes you'll get it wrong. That's just the way life goes sometimes. Okay. So we have our strategy, and when our strategy doesn't work, or it still worked because it eliminated these two, it's 50-50. I like those odds. I'd rather have 50-50 than 1 out of 4. And so, sometimes we just got to guess, and that's just the way it is. Okay. All right. Well, that's what we're doing. That's all we had